Chair Aizawa,
Here.
Commissioner Anderson. Commissioner Anderson, not present. Commissioner Baldwin. Commissioner Baldwin, not present. Commissioner Burnett. Commissioner Burnett, not present. I am Commissioner Clymer, I am present. Commissioner Collinson.
Here.
Commissioner Collinson is present. Commissioner Lowry.
Here.
Oh, thank you, Commissioner Lowry. Commissioner Meyer.
Present.
Present. Commissioner Mulhauser. Commissioner Mulhauser, not present. Commissioner Simpson.
Here.
Thank you, Commissioner Simpson. Commissioner Quinn.
Here.
Thank you, Commissioner Quinn. Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Clymer. Now, I would like to propose that we adopt the agenda as circulated. Is there a second? Thank you very much. So the agenda is adopted. I hope everybody has a copy there. And I would now propose that the meeting minutes of our March the 8th meeting are hereby approved. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Thank you very much. And so the minutes are duly adopted. And moving right along here, we do not have an outside guest today, so we will go straight into the report of the Director of the Office of Human Rights. And here we are, we have Director Kine, who has been battling some respiratory stuff for days or weeks. So just keep it as brief as you wish, as long as your voice tolerates. So the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. That's right. I spent all my voice yesterday at our staff retreat. And so today I've had a little bit of a setback. But as you mentioned, I will go as long as my voice will, and until I start coughing incessantly, I'll keep going because there are a lot of things to update everyone about. So good evening, everyone. Good to see you. I'm sorry I'm not in person for those that are there. You know, I love being in person as much as possible, but like I said, yesterday set me back a little bit and I had to shove off a lot of my in-person events today. So May is AAPI Heritage Month as well as Mental Awareness Month. So happy AAPI Heritage and mental awareness. If you are interested, there are a few activities you can engage in to celebrate these things. And so the Mayor Office of Asian Pacific Islander Affairs is hosting a wonderful event. I hope you can make it. It's on May 22nd. It's called Foodalicious. So I don't think I need to provide much more of a descriptor than that. It's going to be fun. It's going to be tasty. So I hope you can come out and celebrate. On a more serious note, OHR will also be hosting a panel discussion on government resources for the AAPI community on Wednesday, May 24th. More information will come as we are still developing our flyer for that and rounding out our panelists. Other events that you might be interested in, May 23rd, yes, it's we're going to have a 23 protected traits training day. And so if you can't remember what it is, again, 23rd is a good reminder if you don't remember which day. If you're interested in taking that training with OHR, just let Maya know. And if you don't know Maya, let me know, and I will certainly be able to connect you with the right link to register for that event. Today actually was a big day for us at OHR. We were part of the mayor's Public Safety and Justice Summit. And so it was good for us to be present in the conversation of where an organization like the Office of Human Rights, Commission on Human Rights, how we fit in the ecosystem of public safety and justice. If you didn't get a chance to see that, it is on the mayor's website, as well as her Twitter. And other outlets. So it was a really great conversation that included council members, that included U.S. attorneys, and other folks who can weigh in on what we can do as a city to address public safety concerns. And of course, later in the month, May 26th and 27th, OHR will be a significant part of Black Pride. I will personally be there on the 27th. If you would like more details, want to be a part of our tabling or part of the events that we're attending, just reach out to me or to Maya, and we will let you know more about details on that. And then quick updates about OHR. I know top of mind for everybody is probably the budget. So about, I want to say 2 or 3 weeks ago, the council looked at the mayor's proposal on the budget for the Office of Human Rights. And you may recall me talking about the fact that we had a pretty good, solid budget, but because of the constraints that the district is facing as a whole in FY24 when it comes to our budget, that OHR did have to take, a hit like other agencies. And in fact, relatively speaking, we didn't take as much of a hit. But that proposed hit that I'm talking about was 6.5 positions. And upon considering the budget, our oversight committee, the Committee on Public Works, has decided to propose that 3 of those 6.5 positions be restored. So nothing is final until final. And so my understanding is that the council as a whole will vote on the budget on Tuesday. So we'll know further about whether that proposal sticks then. For those of you that have been following some of the upcoming legislation, the council will fund the Domestic Workers Fairness Act. That did become law earlier this year, but was not funded for FY23. Yes, thank you, Commissioner Clymer. This is a huge advancement for the district. And so starting in FY24, OHR will begin to enforce the Domestic Workers Fairness Act. And I'm also proud to report that I think since our last gathering, OHR worked really hard, all of our entire team, legal, as well as our communications and education team, to put together an informational sheet and a new complaint form related to the Eviction Record Sealing Amendment Act, particularly the portion that relates to prohibition of certain conduct by housing providers to prevent further sort of source of income discrimination. And so we're super excited about that. We worked really hard to get that out. And then another quick update on OHR and commission as a whole. You might remember, some of you that were here last year, that around this time, or maybe a little later, we were invited to attend the Human Rights Cities Conference, which neither the chair nor I had ever really heard about before or knew about. But we participated last year along with Dr. Mia Carey from OHR. And so this year they invited us again, and this conference will be in Atlanta. Neither I nor Mia could go, but luckily Chair Aizawa has stepped up and said she will go. So we are happy to send Chair Aizawa as our representative for OHR and the commission. And so I believe, and that's on May 18th, and I believe the chair will brief us on what she's learned from the city's conference, the Human Rights Cities Conference. Before I close out, I do want to share a couple of concerns for us to think together as a whole. And I believe the chair will be addressing this as well, but I want to sort of lay the ground for that. One is that I understand that there are a number of confirmations and renewals of appointments for the commissioners. And so as you probably saw in the materials, and Chief Judge Pearson will talk about this in her updates, we're sort of in a holding pattern because of some of the delays in getting that through. So there's a number of reasons why these delays occur. And I know there is that doctrine that Chief Judge Pearson will go into greater detail that allows you to continue to be in your official capacity despite the pending confirmation, but it really doesn't make me feel comfortable. And so, I would encourage you to, in the future, work with Judge Pearson and the chair to try to move your materials a little bit earlier. So if your expiration is in December, then I'd encourage us to try to put these things together by about October, November, so that we can get ahead rather than submitting materials during the point of expiration, because we never know how long it will take between the various approval processes that we have to go through. And then the next concern is that, as you know, we are constantly scrutinized in looking at our case closures. And so one of the ways that we close cases, of course, is with your help being on the tribunals. And so, as you might imagine, and I know for certain that our judges work really hard to close these cases, right? Whether that's through facilitating a settlement conference or by actually holding hearings or through summary judgment. Along with Ms. Hayden here, who's nodding, she knows how much hard work goes into these things, but they can't close these cases out on their own. They really need the tribunal of commissioners for you to review these cases so that then we can close them and get it out the door. So I know there's been some challenges with moving some of the cases, with the tribunals being able to convene. And so Judge Pearson has kindly offered to do a refresher for us today, but I just wanted to impress upon everybody that I appreciate your time. I know this is, voluntary, but that we really do need you to be able to convene during these tribunals in order to move these cases forward so that our clients, not clients, our residents can get closure. And so with that, I think those are all my updates. Thank you so much for being here. And again, thank you for your service.
Thank you so much for your report. Hello. Hi, Robert. So I just would like to open up the floor and ask if there are any questions. And if I may, Director Khan, can you just tell us your the May 23rd, 23 protected traits training? Do you have a bit more information on that? Because that's kind of crucial, especially because the outreach committee has been trying to get itself trained, and so it's very timely. I would suggest everybody in that committee really attend this, but do you have any, is it all day? Is it part of the day? Can you give us a bit more information on that, please?
Yeah, let me see if I have that information handy. If not, what I will do is ping Maya and drop it in the chat and or email everyone with that information. But let me see if I have it handy in my notes here about how long that is, or if I can look on my calendar. But while we're looking for the timing detail insofar as the program goes, I can tell you that, it is about expanding and spending more time on each of the protected traits, because in our normal human rights liaison training, which by the way, we're going to rename, our general training, we go over some of the highlights of the protected traits. We don't spend time on every single protected trait. And so this is a way to tease out some of the issues that might come up. Like, for instance, a lot of people are not as familiar with personal appearance as a protected trait, for instance, or the new protected trait that we have today, of course, is homelessness, right? And what the difference is between familial status protected trait. And so matriculation, all of those things, we're going to sit and talk more about that. And so I don't unfortunately have the details on how long and what time, unfortunately, but I will find out as we gather tonight and put it in the chat.
I can actually do that because I do that training.
Oh,
I didn't see you. Tyler, you're there.
Yes. So, hi.
Perfect.
I was being
been our tech support.
23, the 23 protective traits is about an hour and a half long. It's it highlights more of the unknown ones. Not that we don't give any, it's not to say any are not important, but a lot of, we have a good concept of race, but it would be something like color, kind of national origin, and kind of comparing those. So it's about an hour and a half long. I think it's 1 o'clock right now. I can look real quick.
okay, so sounds like 1 o'clock to 2:30. That would be kind of convenient in that it's midday and hopefully people can take
I apologize. 12 to 1.
12 to
1:30. 12 to 1:30.
12 to 1:30. That's fine. So that is kind of at the lunch hour, and I do hope we can all participate, but particularly the members of the outreach committee. And it looks like Karen is not on this call, but I know she has been angling to arrange for training for very, very, very long time. Well, this is our opportunity. So I guess Tyler or somebody will forward us, right? All the links and et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, it's very important that we do this.
So
Um,
it is a virtual training.
Yeah, is that right? It's virtual?
Yes, it is.
Yes, yes. Okay. Any other questions for Director Kine at this point? I guess it's somewhat good news about the budget. I also overheard that, so let's keep our fingers crossed that not all is lost. And you can claw back 3 positions. Any other questions, comments, discussions?
No question. I just want to say that I hope you feel better, Director Kine.
Thank
Yes.
you. I appreciate it. And the other note I'll add is that our mystery guest with a 202 number, that is our general counsel, Andrea.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, hi, welcome, Andrea.
Hi, all. Sorry about that.
Hi. Did you, actually, Andrea, did you want to say something, especially about the financial disclosure, or is by now, is everybody finished with financial disclosure and therefore it's moot?
Have a few days.
Yeah.
You all
maybe
can take a few
We
days
do
if
have
you
a few more days. We have 5 more days.
So please get them in if you haven't yet. It really doesn't take that long. If you have any questions, certainly you can start with me. But Bega is trying to get to everybody. They understand we're at the time crunch as well. So if you haven't or you have any questions, please reach out to me and or Bega.
Yeah, I found out that you don't necessarily need your DC email.
Mhm.
You can actually sign in with another email address and instructions from Vega takes you through that. So that is very helpful in case for some reason your DC email is frozen, which turned out to be my case, much to my surprise.
And I'd also like to mention that when I did it, I noticed that prior year's statements are available.
Oh, yes.
So if there's information from a prior year that you need, it's available.
Yes,
right there.
and you can just, if nothing has changed, you can copy and paste, et cetera, et cetera. So it does make it a much quicker process than it
Mhm.
used to be, but it does take time because you have to be prepared for it. So anyway, I'll leave it at that. Andrea, did you want to say anything else? I assume not at this point, in which case we will move to the next agenda item, which is the report of the Chief Judge, Erica Pearson. The floor is yours.
Thank you. And following up on what Nin started talking about the reappointments, it seemed like they were, moving quickly for a minute and then it kind of stopped. But they just had some turnover at MODA and it slowed everything down. And so they have not, as of this week, submitted those reappointments to city council yet. But I am told they're on top of it and it will be done soon, although I wasn't given any more on specific date. But I wanted to just reassure the commissioners who are pending reappointment that they are still able to act in the same capacity. And this is based on what is referred to as the de facto officer doctrine. And it means that if something, for example, you tribunal, you sign an order, and then later on somebody challenges the validity of that order, saying, well, you weren't officially appointed at the time. And
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Judge Pearson. There is a massive sort of disturbing noise of shuffling of paper. I don't know if it's the microphone over there picking it up. I think everything.
Oh, I
It might
think it's,
be you.
yeah, I'm sitting
I'll
right
keep
in front of
one
the
down.
mic.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry. So basically says that if your term expires, you haven't been basically kicked out of the position, you're considered a holdover in that position. And as long as the action you take is within the statutory authority that you have, it's still a valid action. So you don't have to worry that you don't have the ability to sit on tribunals or sign orders or take any action. I mean, we know it's not an ideal situation, but you're good legally in your position.
Does it say for how long?
No.
Okay.
No, but when they do the reappointments, they make them retroactive. to the date of the expiration. And so, as you know, the appointments are staggered. So every year, there's going to be 4 positions that are going to expire. And so we have another 4 coming up. We're going to hopefully get that process started earlier than later so that maybe we can get it through the council before the expiration. As far as the vacancies, we do have 4. We do have 4 candidates. Again, the same situation as the reappointments. We're just waiting for MOTA to move those candidates through the city council. They were all interviewed by myself, by Chair Aizawa. I think Judge Ash was in some of the interviews, as well as Adana from MOTA. And so there were 4 really great candidates, and we're really excited to get them on. We don't have a time frame right now for when they'll be on, but once their nominations are published in the DC Register, then at that point I'll share their backgrounds and their resumes and everything. But until it's officially appointed, I don't want to give that information out yet. Fellowship, we have filled the position. We had about, I think we did 11 interviews for the fellowship, and really we had 11 great candidates. So, but we selected someone named Matthew Wiedmeyer, and we're really excited. So Matthew will come in August and replace Rose when she completes her fellowship. That seems really far away right now. And then just a little update, to keep up with our emerging leaders. Addison Rose has got a full scholarship to University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, where she will be attending in the fall. And so congratulations to Addison.
Excellent.
Great job for her. Update on, we have updated the OHR website thanks to Maya with the most recent decisions. So they are all posted now on the website, and they should be coming out in the DC Register in the next 2 weeks. This is new information I just got today from the Office of Open Government. They asked to let all of boards and commissions know that they now have a new training portal on parliamentary procedure. And so if you are interested, they're encouraging anybody who's a chair or secretary of a board or commission to take this online training. But you just need to email Nicholas Wheel, and then they'll put your name in so that you can go online and log in and they'll authorize you to take that training. And I'm going to take that training as well.
So you make a motion to email Nicholas Will.
Exactly.
Chief Judge Peterson, would you mind forwarding that information to the commission listserv?
Yes.
Yeah, just so I don't, lose it or whatever.
Yeah, I'll do a separate email just reminding
Thank you.
everyone
Yep, thank
and
you.
highlighting that.
Wait, just commission listserv?
I mean, the emails that I send out to the whole commission. You're not missing anything. Case inventory, we have 18 commission cases pending right now. So we had 22 at the last meeting, so that was 4 cases we closed since then. Some new data. I was asked previously, we were talking about the time frame for case closure, if we had, actual data on how long it was taking. So I was able to go back and pull that data for FY22 and so far in 23. I'm still going to do it for 21 and 20, but that's just a little more work because I don't have those dates in those charts. So I got to pull each of those cases and get the LOD dates and certification dates. But what the data has shown, so we've closed 9 cases so far this fiscal year. On average, it was 11 months from certification to closure. And it was 19.5 months from the issuance of the LOD to closure. And for FY22, we had 15 cases that we closed. On average, it was 17.8 months from certification to closure and 22.8 months from LOD to closure. So that's all I have. If you have any questions that's specific to the case list or anything, I'm happy to answer them.
Yeah, I do. Of the 18 pending, how soon do you think, how many will be coming up? How many tribunals will you need, within the next
Right
5 months?
now, there, I think 2 that are be coming up for tribunal soon. And the other ones are either going through settlement conference right now, but we've got a couple that are scheduled for lengthy trials. So like Judge Ash has a trial starting next Thursday. I
Yep,
think.
next
It's
week.
scheduled to go for at least 2 weeks. And I think they're already asking for more than 2 weeks than it's scheduled for. And then I have another case that's gonna be starting trial in July, and that's gonna go for 3 weeks, that trial.
How do we,
There may be one more that has been sort of long-standing. It's similar to a case that I just had a tribunal convene for, I think in the last month or two. And that will possibly be coming up in the next 30 days. I've been in touch with OHR about, if they don't have any clarity on who the one of the parties is, that the case would be remanded. And my recommendation, of course, to a tribunal would be to remand the case back to OHR. And so that is one case that could be coming up in the next month.
Thank
Very
you. Any questions for Judge Pearson? Comments, discussions?
And I guess I'll move straight into the
Yeah, please.
administration. So two things I want to mention. One, the DCBC emails. Everybody seems to have a continuous problem getting into the email. The thing with your DCBC email, if you do not log into your email at least once a month, it's going to be flagged as inactive. And then they're gonna cancel out your password. And so you need to log in at least once a month to keep your password and your account active. If you don't, then we have to get someone at Octo to reset the emails. And they've been doing, I have a friend at Octo who's been doing that for us, but it's kind of become so frequent now that it's, Octo really requires that you put in a ticket for everything, because that's how they're tracking, kind of the activity of Octo. So, by me, I'm bypassing their ticket process by going to Jesse saying, can you help this person, help this person, help this person? And I don't want to get him in trouble. So, if it's as frequent as it is, we're going to have to go through the process of starting to put in tickets in order to reset your email. But if you just log in once a month, your email should remain active. Now with the case management system, we also have the same issue where people are having problems logging in, either because they forgot their password. And so I'm going to show you just 2 issues. One, that either you aren't able to log in, or 2, when you do log in, a lot of times I'll get an email saying I logged in, but I don't see any cases. And so that I'm going to show you how to get around, so that, because it's been a while. Let me find the case management system. It's not showing up. All right, there we go. I'm gonna share the screen.
So if you have a pet that you give a heartworm pill to, and you have a note in your calendar to once a month, give that pet a heartworm pill.
Yes,
I
it's
had that
gonna.
Then
pop
you
up today for my
also-
dog,
Yeah.
the
And you
heartworm
also
pill
check your
today.
DCBC email,
Mm.
okay?
Okay. There you go.
Now you'll never
That's a
forget.
good,
Well,
that's a good one.
That is, if you have a pet that requires a heartworm pill.
If you water your cactus once a month.
So this is the login screen that everybody's going to get. If you forgot your password, there is a forgot your password link. And what I did was we did change, if it wasn't already this way, we changed everybody's login to your personal email, because that was one of the problems, was we had them set up with your DCBC email, and then the reset goes to the DCBC email, and then you can't log into your DCBC email to get the reset. So now everybody can log in to the case management system with their personal email. And then,
Sorry, Terry Janine, we're on the 5th floor.
oh, Tyler will come and meet her.
Yeah, Tyler's coming to meet you. Sorry,
Tell
excuse me.
Let her know that Tyler is on his way down. I'll tell you,
She
I
put
didn't
it,
see
she
it.
put a chat.
Okay,
in
okay.
the
I don't,
There, he's gone. It's
okay,
on the way.
okay.
And the retrieval message, when you put forget password, it's just gonna ask you what's your email address. And just type in your email address in all lowercase letters. And then it'll send you a temporary password, and then you can change your password. So I'm gonna log in. This is just one of my like little shadow accounts. Erica S, it's not my like official one, but in this particular account, I have set myself up as a commissioner. So you'll see I've logged in and I don't see any cases. So it says in cases pending my action. If you go there and you click on that arrow, you have to change it to all open cases. Now, this is something that I don't know why that is, but this is something that Synergy, the vendor, is going to fix. And we're working with them now. It's just because we're using an older version of the case management system. They don't have a lot of tech people who are able to do the upgrades and changes that we need. So it's a little slow, but that's on their horizon, that when they do fix it, when you log in, it'll be default to your cases. But if you change to all open cases, it's gonna then show you any case that you've been assigned as a tribunal member. So this is a case that we just recently had a tribunal on and closed. And then if anything in blue, you can open up. So you click on that case number, and you'll see the background of the cases. You can go a couple
For some
places.
reason, it didn't jump to the next screen. It's still showing that
Oh.
screen for them. Probably
And
because it is
probably
a pop-up new
because, yep,
screen
it's a
and you're only
pop-up.
sharing screen instead of your whole
Let me
desktop.
share mine. Above.
There you go.
There we go. All right. So if you go to filings, it's going to have everything that's been filed in the case. Now, if it's a lengthy case, what will also send you the docket sheet. That way you have the in date order, everything, because we have some cases where the docket sheet is 5-6 pages long. But if it's just simple case, it's just one page, we don't usually send you the docket sheet because it's obvious what's been filed. And so if you click on these, what they're called chevrons, or some people call them sideway arrows, then that will open up any motions or requests. They're filed by category, any orders that were issued. Again, anything in blue, you click on them, it'll open them up. And then other thing is, if you look in the margin, you have proposed and final orders. So if you come there, you'll see, that's usually the first thing you're looking to see. You'll see the proposed order, the date it was sent to the parties, and you can open that proposed order up, and then you'll see the final order that we'll put in after the tribunal has signed it. And then there's also notes and attachments. And it's really just another place similar to filings. And it's there are some things that could be in notes and attachment that aren't in the filings. And that just depends on how people upload it. So sometimes if they upload it wrong, it may not show up under filings, but everything will show up under notes and attachments. But for the most part, people have been uploading things correctly. And usually we'll go in and check the record and make sure they're uploading things correctly. And if they're not, we'll usually fix it and put things in the right place. And so that's it. That is the overview for the case management system. So hopefully everybody will be able to log in and again, use the forget password, and it should go to your personal email if you need to reset your password. And then I didn't show you how to reset the password, but in the upper where it has your name in the upper right-hand corner, if you click on that, it says change password.
Right, and for that system, do we have to log in on a monthly basis
No.
or not? Okay.
No, as long as you know until I inactivate you as
Yeah.
a user,
Fine.
you remain active.
All right.
So if somebody leaves, I go in and I
Sure.
manually deactivate their account.
Mhm.
So thank you very much. This is crucial information, right? I mean, in fact, this is probably the most important information that we need for us to serve on tribunals. And I am aware that several people are missing today. So perhaps one thing to do is to make sure, Rose, maybe you could be very explicit in the minutes. So that's one place we could go to, but maybe we just hand out cheat sheets.
Well, we have
Or-
I
yes,
also
we
sent
do
you
have that.
any attachments.
That's
to the
right,
user
yeah.
Manual, and this manual I specifically made for commissioners, so it's different from the manual that we give out to outside party
Right.
users, and it's the step-by-step flow, including how to change your password is in here.
Okay, that's really, really
Is that in our
useful. Thank
folder?
you very much.
I didn't
No,
see
it's
it.
in the
It's not
email.
printed, yeah,
Oh, in
it's
the
in that,
email.
it's in that
That's right.
attachment
All
that
right.
she just sent
If you
today.
want the paper copy, I've got a few.
Yeah, that's great. So, commissioners, for what it's worth, I have a methodology of reviewing cases. And I'm just gonna share it with you very informally. When you have this long docket sheet that runs for pages and pages, don't let that intimidate you or discourage you. What I do is I start backwards, right? So I start from the most recent documents, and that for sure will take you to the proposed order section. And I start there because that usually, it's a nice summary of what the case is all about. And it refers to a bunch of other documents. And so it's kind of like a cheat sheet. It's a guidepost almost of the case. And so from there, I get the clue as to what documents I should be reading. But I usually go then to the other end. I read the LOD, letter of determination. And so I know then where we are at the very end of the process, and then I know where we started. And that'll also give me a clue as to what I might need to fill the gaps in between, right? And so that's a very quick and dirty way of sort of getting your bearings straight and without reading thousands and thousands of pages, because a lot of these documents are repetitive. And so if you think you're going to read all of them, don't, because it's a waste of your time. Well, I shouldn't say that, but you don't really need to do this in order to have a very good grasp of the facts of the case, right? So that's that's the most important thing that I can share with you that I learned over my last 10 years.
And also, if it's a very lengthy docket, where we've had a lot of motions, most of those motions are usually dealing with discovery issues. And they're usually not terribly important when it gets to the end of the case. But if there are other motions that were filed, we will alert you. Like, I'll tell you when I send you the case, you might want to take a look at this motion for sanctions on this date, and because it was relevant to the determination, or look at this motion that was filed on this date or this order because it was relevant to the determination. So I'll point those things out for you.
Thank you. And obviously that would be immensely helpful and time saving. Any questions for Judge Pearson on what she went over just now?
No, but I was one of those folks struggling to enter my own system. So thank you, Chief Judge Pearson, for your help. And I do have access now. So thank you, folks.
Yeah, well, we all have to, struggle. And once we've done it a couple times, then hopefully we're on our way to a fairly flawless and smooth a process. Okay, hearing no questions or discussions on what just got presented, we will move to the next item, which is my report. I have several things to mention to you. Nin already mentioned the Human Rights Cities Leadership Summit, which is in Atlanta. That's from May the 18th to the 21st. And I am going there to talk about what DC is doing, but really there to learn from what other cities are doing. And hopefully, I will be writing a note about that for OHR, and hopefully I'm in a position to share that with you when we meet next. I believe there is also an event on May the 15th. We are hosting the State Department's Distinguished Humphrey Fellowship Program Fellows. These are fellows on human rights and social justice that the State Department had asked specifically to engage with OHR. So I believe that that engagement is happening on May the 15th. I don't know what time yet. Does anybody know?
11.
11, thank you very much. I know that Karen reached out to the outreach committee to see if anybody from that committee would like to participate. That would be enormously welcome, but I believe also OHR will have several people, including Judge Pearson. So that would be something that that is open to all commissioners, but especially the outreach committee. So I wanted to mention that. I wanted to, I had the privilege of listening to the Listening Lab on Fair Housing Month event, which was on a source of income protected trait. I thought Asian did a very, very good job, and there were some people who were there to really share firsthand information on what it's like to be a tenant and using the voucher. And not only, this person not only talked about what it's like to become a tenant, but what it's like to be and stay as a tenant using the voucher for multiple years. And all the sort of subtle harassments that happen. It was enormously informative, and I just thought it was a very good listening lab, although there were not a lot of people participating. But I highly encourage you to take part in these listening labs. It's very, very insightful in terms of how these protected traits are applied or should be applied in reality. So anyway, just wanted to mention that, and kudos to Asian. Now, I am going to piggyback on what Director Kynes said about our performance, and I'm going to give us a little bit of a pep talk. So bear with me. We just want to make sure that we are up to date in terms of our training, in terms of our ability to participate in tribunals, that we are actively also participating in committee work, because apart from tribunals, which is our most important raison d'etre, we also have an obligation to be on committees, to be doing outreach work and other work, including rules committee work and awards. And I have heard directly and indirectly, right, that somehow occasionally our performance lags, and that tribunals are a little slow. People do not come to trainings that are especially held for commissioners, and so on and so forth. And there are some commissioners who are not part of committees. And so Director Kynes and I agreed that it's time for me to mention this, that this is all very important for us to be participating in these things, that we are paying attention to emails, that we are actively communicating and being informed about what's happening. This is, we have to make sure that we are informed so that we can participate, so that we are assisting OHR in meeting all the performance targets that are promised to at our oversight hearings. And so I'm sorry to raise this, but and I don't do this very often, I think you know that, but please do pay attention to what we have to do. And I think part of the the fix going forward is for us to prompt you earlier in terms of renewals, in terms of tribunals, in terms of other things, and we'll try to be better at that in prompting. We also talked about potentially having commissioners sign a piece of paper when they come on board in terms of what their obligations are and that they understand those obligations. And I think that might actually be helpful for people to understand what is required of them, right? And why. So we talked about obligation to be trained, obligation to be on tribunals, to be on committees, and obligations to avoid conflicts of interest. Maybe these things can be in an appointment letter up front, and that would be something that would be very clear to everybody. So yeah, so I'll just finish. Yeah, so we'll try to be better at prompting, and that's a promise from the leadership team and from OHR. So thank you for paying attention, and I will now open up for discussion.
Yes, on that last point about providing notice in an appointment letter, when does the appointment letter go out? Is that after you've already committed to the commission?
We don't have one right now.
An appointment letter?
No.
I'm sorry, what was the point where you said you were contemplating providing like upfront notice that these are requirements? I thought you said with the appointment letter.
So we are proposing an appointment letter.
Ah, I see it.
Yes.
I understand now.
Yes.
Okay.
So nobody has received anything.
Yeah.
And I think we should do that.
Yeah.
I think that would give us some discipline. And
Absolutely. I think that's a great idea. I was just I wasn't sure if that was already a part of the process. I mean, 3 years have gone by. I didn't recall.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Right? Time goes very, very fast.
It goes very, very
and-
fast, but
and,
I was just going to inquire about what the timing would look like, because I think that information is most useful as early as possible. So in the first contact, when you're selling someone the commission opportunity, to be really clear about what that means. Because
Yeah, we are
in the
very
interview.
clear in the interviews. I mean, we say that
And we would
multiple
specifically
times.
say, these are the commitments. Do you think you would have any problem meeting those commitments?
got it. So I didn't even have an interview.
Yeah.
So I had no
Back then they
idea
weren't
that
doing
happened.
interviews.
Yes,
Okay,
yeah.
got it.
Okay, yeah, so that is now our standard modus operandi for interviews, and regardless of, how exalted these candidates might appear, we say this, just because, we want to make sure that time
Yeah.
commitments are there. Any other questions, discussions, pushbacks, anything?
I think you're preaching to the choir in terms of, I'm looking around the room and we're the folks who regularly attend meetings and there are some folks who are not regularly attending meetings.
Yes, and and sorry, I want to also mention, I'm going to be bold, and I would like to have a one-on-one discussion with commissioners, and so I will be going around and proposing calls, and there, maybe you can tell me things are working, things are not working, and some of the things that you would rather not say in public meetings, you could be very frank about that. And so I would do that, and potentially to suggest if people do not want to get renewed, that they can say so, right? You do not have, it's not obligatory to get renewed, and therefore just want to also make clear about that. But I will be doing that just because I think it's about time, and it's probably useful. So with that, and if there are no other questions, comments, discussions, I will move to old business. But just have a couple of things here. Karen is not here, but the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women's Act did pass. That's after our last meeting, and I was hoping that she would congratulate herself and all of us because of that, but she's not here, and so I just wanted to mention that. But also congratulations to Karen, because she worked very, very hard, and I'm glad that I'll have something to talk about when I go to Atlanta. And in terms of our meetings, so today is a mixed hybrid meeting, excuse me. But I believe in the future, most of our meetings, we decided we're gonna do virtually. Is that right? Yeah, and except for like special occasions when we do want to get together in person and obviously closer to the gala, we may want to have a in-person meeting. But other than that, I propose a virtual meeting, and I think that is everybody's sentiment. And the reason why we're not offering a hybrid is because the setup does take time, and don't want to waste the judge's time unnecessarily. So that's going to be our modus operandi going forward, unless you have, and you can always ask for in-person meeting, right? And we can consider that. So that's how we will deal with our future meetings. And with that, if there are no discussions, yes, please. Please.
Sorry, I want to go back to, I think, your prior section of your report. You mentioned for the outreach committee, this event coming up on May 15th. And
yes,
I did check my email, and I don't have the email from Commissioner Mulhauser. So if someone can forward that to me, so I'm on the outreach committee, so I'd like to at least be able to read through it to see if it's something I can or can't do.
Okay, sorry, it was supposed to go out. So apologies. I think there was maybe a miscommunication about who's sending that to the outreach committee. It will go out either tonight or tomorrow.
Sounds great.
Okay, thank you so much for your interest. Now we will move to committee reports, if that's okay with everybody. We're moving right along. So I will give you a quick update on the awards committee. We have not really met officially, but we've had a lot of online decision making. So I'm just happy to share with you what I'm able to. I think you know already that the gala is going to be December the 7th. Somebody said it's a Pearl Harbor Day, but I don't think anybody really cares about that. Day before, no, it's Pearl Harbor Day, it is. And it will be at the same place, that is the old council's chamber, 441 4th Street. It went very well last year, so we're gonna keep that. We have discussed, and I believe this is the recommendation of the committee, that this year's theme will be on disability, including mental disability. I don't have a catchy phrase for the event, and I've been casting around, but no bright ideas yet. But just wanted to suggest that and to see if anybody had a reaction in terms of supporting that, or maybe this is not a good timing. I don't know what how people feel. This came up by several people, and it also came up last year. And so it felt like it was time to pay some attention to this issue, and especially mental disability, because that's an important issue since, particularly since COVID. But do we have any reaction on that particular theme, please?
I like it. I did want to check to see if there was, if anyone of you who's been around much longer than I have can recall whether we've done something on this topic in recent years.
No, so I've gone over all the themes that I knew of going back 6, 7, 8 years or so. And just to mention, the earlier themes were very, very general. It was about civil and human rights progress in DC and stuff like that. It was only in the last couple of galas in which we have been protected trait specific. We don't have to do this. And we did discuss whether we should have other themes. One of the themes that got mentioned once at least was LGBTQ or sexual orientation, et cetera, but because we covered a little bit of that last year, we decided that maybe we should have a very different theme this year. And so that's just a very quick history of it. So if any of you have a bright, very catchy a byline of some sort, I would very much welcome that.
Taco,
Yeah.
Lauren has
I think
their
Commissioner
hand up.
Lowry.
Excuse me, sorry, I didn't see you.
Oh,
Please go ahead.
no worry. On the theme, I wanted to know, was it hard recruiting organizations or individuals on specific themes? You know, as we send out applications or make people aware of the topic, is it hard to recruit on a specific theme? Or should we be more open so that we have a wider pool of people to apply?
Yeah, so thank you. That's a very probing question there. Just to give you a sense of last year, we had a pretty good focus on gender and related human rights in the nomination process. That's what you mean, right? When you say recruitment. It was a little harder with the youth leadership awards in that a lot of them advocate for very broad swath of things like social justice. And so to the extent they mentioned something on gender, I think we usually went ahead with those nominations. So this year, I think we will be the same. So when we reach out to communities and organizations, we'll be very specific on our preference to receive nominations that are relevant for this year's theme. And it has been okay. Yeah, we received also other nominations last year. And we said, we would rather not because they fall outside of the thematic area. And so that's how we went about our business. Did I answer your question, Lauren?
Yes, because I knew that the prior year that we struggled with nominations, and this year, even in thinking about recruitment, because it was so, I guess, focused, I struggled with who to even recruit for the award in terms of different organizations or individuals. So
If I can jump in for a second, Commissioner Lowry, I will say, I think because this year we are a lot earlier than last year, that we're gonna have more time to do a lot more promotional work to, communicate to the communities that we are soliciting nominations, right? I think in a lot of the iterations of previous years, we had trouble doing that because it was close in time and we had to close the nomination period very closely. It was like in the past, either within weeks, and correct me if I'm wrong, Chair Ozawa, or like maybe a couple of weeks. So now we'll have a little bit more time. I will say, I think because this is, one of the reasons why this particular area was suggested is because it is again and again top 3 allegations of complaints that we see with Office of Human Rights. It's always disability, sex, and race. They switch seats 1, 2, 3 each year, but it's always there. And I don't think we've ever done anything. There are a lot of disability communities, I think, in DC that would benefit from the recognition of all the work that they've done. We have come a long ways in protecting disability rights in nationally, but certainly federally, locally as well. Sorry, that's my 2 cents.
Yep, great. Commissioner Lowry, did you want to come? Yeah, okay. So thank you, Director Khan, for mentioning those top 3. That is absolutely correct. And for that reason also, which I failed to mention, I think it is a very good theme. Now, by the way, we will be reaching out to community organizations about this theme, but if you read about somebody in the newspaper, in the media, right, who is advocating or who's doing some outstanding work in this area, that nothing prevents you from nominating those people as individuals or as organizations, right, or as youth leaders. It doesn't have to be that it's always an organization, right? you know, this is a very prevalent theme, that, so you're bound to come across something, or somebody, I think, in your search. So I would be very enthused to go ahead with this theme, if that's okay with everybody. Yeah,
I just want to play this out for 1 second. I am disabled, so I think all know that. I just want to say, I think what Lauren's question leads to is there's 23 protected traits. Are we just going to start like carouseling through them? And when we talk about gender, that's half of the population of the city, whereas we start kind of getting into favoritism of a sort when we start talking about the other protected traits. So I think it was a worthwhile question, and I just want to kind of restate it again for the group, because even if it's in the top 3, how would we address race? Would we talk about, if we were to do just the top 3 and then go back to more broader topics? Like, just want to make sure that we're thinking about how this perpetuates beyond just this year.
yep. Fair question.
We combine some of the traits like Black mental health or something along those lines.
I think theoretically, yes, right? And I think what we did last year is an example of combining reproductive rights, women's rights, sexual orientation, different things in one bag, because that is a way to reach out to a really wide swath of people. And this is why I think it's also very timely that we include mental disability issues. And that also opens up a very different swath. But I think, you know, keeping it to top 3 would give us some kind of a parameter that's also helpful. Another way to look at it is some of the newer traits, right, that are very, but homelessness being one of them. But because we actually celebrated a awardee who comes from that community a couple of years ago, so I thought maybe that's not for this year. Anyway.
And, you know, just this week, I remember listening to NPR, and they were having a discussion of disability, and they used the statistic that 70% of the American population is classified under one group of disability.
It's 1 in 6 adults. Yeah.
Exactly. And I just think, you know, that's clearly reflected in the number of cases. It's among the top 3.
It's a vulnerable population, to be sure.
Exactly.
I mean, again, I'm speaking on behalf of myself and others, right? But I also just don't want to like lose the sight of our intersectionality of our work and the fact that there are 23 protected traits. And when we start calling out one, we are diminishing others. And I don't want that to be the picture that people take with it.
Yeah.
Understood.
That's fair enough.
To push back slightly on that, I don't think that it has to be like a zero sum where you call out one and diminish others, as opposed to, like, if this is going to be like an annual theme, I think is wholly appropriate to highlight, not necessarily to the exclusion of others, but highlight certain demographics or certain protected traits, and we can even intersect those protected traits to make sure that theoretically, like 23 years from now, we're still getting something fresh, and not repeating the same topics, but also still doing our duty of educating the public about all of these different sectors of protected classes as well.
Yeah, very well said. Thank you. You know, I just want to share with you, because I'm freshly back from seeing my very old mother in Japan. In Japan, 40% of the population is above the age of 65, right? And so they are more likely than not to be disabled. And so this is where age and disability intersects in a profound way. And, you know, actually Korea is even worse now, but Japan, Korea, China, we're all headed the same way. And so, you know, these governments have a huge burden of dealing with age-related disabilities. And so there are these intersectionalities that we need to think about and be thoughtful. And that so actually covers age
Yeah, so I was
within
just
the,
thinking.
protected trait, right?
But even if we, have an overall theme for the gala, I don't know that you necessarily have to limit the award recipients to that theme.
Sure.
Just because that's, we want to focus on that.
Yeah, we could say that's our
Yeah.
preference. I mean, I think we
Yeah.
said last year, it's our preference.
I think I
I'm-
was thinking along the same lines, and I was wondering, just because I don't recall, are we continuing the Eleanor Holmes Norton Award? We aren't, okay, okay. I think I was thinking, I was wondering if there might be a category of award where we might have a little more flexibility in terms of the awardee and the scope of their work.
You can create another.
Yes.
Award,
I don't want to create more work for anyone, but
Well, I
just
mean,
an
another
idea.
person is not, another award is not gonna really change, but in a way, right? Just to be clear, there are three categories, right? So Alexander, Neil Alexander Award, the Emerging Leader Award and Community Award. And I think we've been most lenient with the emerging leaders, just because, kids shouldn't necessarily fit into narrow things. And so we want to encourage, broad social service, social justice theme. So that's what we did last year. We are totally open to having another category. But in a way, we could also say community could be a broader thing, right? It's for broader community service. So last year we had the City of Lights people who are performing arts people. Yeah.
yeah.
That was like a, slightly different from the gender-based theme. And, so I think we have flexibility built into what we do, but
I'm excited about it. I think age creates a great opportunity to kind of widen the scope of folks that we're considering, and that you've added or kind of highlighted mental health will also increase our chances of having an easier route in terms of looking for candidates. So I'm excited about this topic.
excellent.
Great job.
Great, thank you.
I also like it. No, I don't consider myself to be much of an artist at all, but I think stressing the words ability and possibly the
Yes.
dis being in
Yes.
very small letters.
Yes,
might
Oh, that's
just
a
give
nice
the
one.
impression that
yeah.
we want to recognize the ability that everyone has.
Yes, so there's a lot of emphasis on people-centric approach, right? So we want to make sure that the theme relates to that very clearly, but maybe somebody very creative can come up with a nice, and it might be you, Adam. So great, thank you. So let's just move on. I wanted to also tell you, I think we have a caterer. Hey, right? I think we have a menu. There is a quote from the.
Well in advance.
Well, in advance. So Director Kind, I will be approaching you shortly to get this all hopefully wrapped up, and also the nomination process. So the awards committee needs to meet fairly soon, and I will, as an acting chair, I will call a meeting. We do need a formal chair here. I'm just saying, if anybody would like to relieve me of my acting chairship or whatever, I would be very happy. Now, just remind me, who is on the committee? It's Commissioner Clymer, right? And Commissioner Mayor Mulhauser. Is that it? Is Stuart? Yeah, Commissioner Anderson is on it, okay. All right, so I will be calling a meeting of the awards committee. All right, enough, I think that is
Can I
enough.
give you one more piece of
Yes,
suggestions?
Please.
I'm outgoing and I'm just giving you
Yes.
ideas, you're just gonna have to deal with.
yes, please.
The DC Office of the Deaf and Hard of Hearing was recently funded and staffed, so it might be a nice gesture in terms of inter-office work to invite that person to be a speaker.
Okay, thank you
Okay.
so much. Yeah, I think there are also multiple ways to reach out to DC government agencies. Yeah, I was looking at the website, it's just a lot of different services. And so I think we need to do our due diligence, but thank you for the suggestion. Great. All right, moving, I don't know that we have a reporting out of the outreach committee. So, Erica, do you wanna do the rules
Yeah.
committee? Yeah.
Sure. So with the rules committee, one, we do need a new member as we're losing. Ellie has been a great contributor to the rules committee.
Yes,
Definitely
and
can
thank you for that.
use a new one. We are still working on revising chapter 4. We have slowed down a bit just because we want to give OHR the space that they need to work on the case closure. You know, with everything that's going on budget wise, they're under a lot of pressure to close cases, and so I don't want to use the resources of OGC and take away from, you know, what their mission is for the rest of this year. So rather than move forward the piece that we already prepared, we're just going to keep working on those revisions with the goal of by the end of the fiscal year, that then we'll be ready for legal review and be able to move forward at that point.
So I think the point is that we have a little bit of breathing space.
Yes, gives us definitely some breathing space.
And we will look at chapter 4 comprehensively,
Mhm.
right, from the beginning to the end. So that way, we're not doing this emergency rulemaking,
Right.
but we actually have a chance to revisit everything in chapter 4. And we do really need a new member. We do need a chair. I'm also the acting chair of the rules committee. And I would be happily relieved if somebody would. And on this one, we do
I
not
think
need
Robert would make a
necessarily.
great chair.
Just saying.
He is an attorney.
I would like to second that thought.
I,
Very good
as a non-voting
input.
member of the rules committee, would also second.
I'd like to second that.
Your vote doesn't count. Listen, okay.
Okay, is that okay?
Yeah. No, I need to be public.
Absolutely.
Yes, and I was just gonna say, you don't need to be a lawyer, although it's.
But how
sometimes-
convenient.
Sometimes helpful, but you don't, so the third member of the committee can be a non-lawyer. In fact, Ellie was great because Ellie would say, I'm not a lawyer, but this seems ridiculous, or I don't really understand this at all, and we need those perspectives. So let me just leave you with those thoughts. And you can always approach me or the newly elected chair of the Rules Committee.
You can do that word.
Newly appointed and assigned, and
Unanimous.
with great thanks. Okay, I think that's all I had, yeah. So may I move now to announcements? Any announcements? I
No, we
think
skipped our new
did I,
business.
oh, so, excuse me, I'm so sorry. I did,
Okay.
so, let's, because you know what, I'm in denial. I'm in denial that we are losing Commissioners Collinson and Allen. Unfortunately, Winter Allen couldn't be with us, but we are here with Commissioner Collinson. Thank you for being with us for so long. Thank you for your service. Congratulations on your new appointment, which is very exciting. It's very close to what I used to do, you know, that, yeah. Yeah, and I know some people in your agency, so all the best. And think of us from time to time. And if you want to come back, you can always come.
Thank you.
But anyway,
Yes.
thank you so much.
And we do have a little gift for you, which was supposed to
Aw.
arrive yesterday, but of course didn't. So we won't get it to you, but this is what it looks like.
Oh my gosh.
So as soon as it comes.
What is your new appointment?
Oh, well, yes, a little speech would be nice.
Yeah.
Well, this is extraordinary.
On the spot, the theme of the
yeah.
night.
Oh, yeah.
On the spot. Thanks, everyone. So I have been a part of the Biden-Harris administration for the past year. I think folks knew that I was the chief of staff to the CFO at Commerce. But I've just recently been appointed to be the deputy director of the U.S. Trade and Development Agency. So it's a small agency that operates in the international economic cluster. We work a lot with the Export-Import Bank, and then also with state and with commerce. So I'm working with my colleagues sort of on the other side of the aisle, so to speak. But we support feasibility studies and technical assistance for emerging economies to evaluate whether they want to use American technology and infrastructure infrastructure projects. So it both promotes exports of American products and services, but also helps emerging economies address their infrastructure needs. So I'm learning a lot. I have never worked in international before, so this is like very different, but I'm their chief operating officer and basically helping our director, who's this incredible woman. She travels all over the world, and then I just kind of keep the home fires running and stamp approve a lot of different feasibility study proposals. So, but it just became increasingly challenging for me to be available for tribunals, and I wanted to Matoko's point earlier, make sure that if I'm an active member, that I'm truly active. I also think we've got an incredible crop of newer commissioners who've joined, and it's time to let other folks shine and contribute. So it's been a real pleasure. It's been 6 years, which I can't believe. And I'm looking at 2 commissioners who were here when I first joined and have been an incredible part of my experience on the commission. And I'm looking at new commissioners who have joined since I've been here. And I just wish you all the best. And Judge Pearson, rock.
Yeah.
I also wanted to say 2 things that are unrelated to my departure, if that's okay, since you're in announcements, sort of. I don't know if anyone else read the article in the Washington Post, New York Times. Those are the 2 I'm in the East Coast liberal elite. Cedar Falls, Iowa, the Human Rights Commission convinced the mayor to adopt the proclamation for Pride. The mayor was not going to adopt the proclamation for Pride, and it was the Human Rights Commission that lobbied and got that person to flip their perspective. And it's just a good reminder of what it means to do this work in communities that are not as progressive or human rights oriented in various dimensions. And so I hope that is uplifting for all of you. The other thing I wanted to mention is just how lucky and fortunate we are to have Chair Azawa and Director Kine, and it's Asian American Pacific Islander Month, and you are both incredible leaders in our community, and I just want to wish you the best in your commemorative month. I know it's been a very difficult year for the Asian American Pacific Islander community, and so I hope that it's a joyous occasion.
Thank you. Wow. We're going to miss you very, very much, and we'll invite you to our gala. If you'd like to join us, that would be so very joyful. So I think you are getting your plaque. We're sending you off with our best wishes. And same to Winter Allen, even though she cannot join us and she cannot tell us her parting thoughts. So on that note, onward, and I am closing the meeting. So thank you very much. Can you believe it? Next time we will be together, it'll be in July. And we shall have made all this progress with nominations, I can assure you. Okay, thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Have a good one.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.